I remember the exact moment when the hairs on the back of my neck stood up, and my heart raced faster than I ever thought possible. I was driving home from a late shift, alone in the darkness, when I heard that faint ping on my phone, an alert from my Apple AirTag telling me that an unknown device was moving with me. And in that instant I realized I had become someone's unwitting target. Tell me, what would you have done if you got that message? Would you have stopped your car on the side of the road, called for help, or ignored it altogether? I had to figure out a way out of this nightmare. Was I wrong for confronting what I found? I'll start from the beginning. I'm not someone who lives in fear, but I'm also not naive. A few months ago I decided to invest in a new car. Something sleek, comfortable, and safe. I was working long hours at the clinic, and driving late at night had become routine. I felt like I'd finally earned something solid. My commute home was about 40 minutes through suburban roads that get deserted after midnight, so I bought the latest model of that car, equipped with all sorts of smart features. I told myself I felt safe until that one evening shattered everything. My friend Sarah had been telling me about stories she'd heard regarding AirTags being misused, tracking people without consent. Honestly, I brushed them off. I figured that won't happen to me. I was cautious, locked doors, checked my car when I parked under lights. But still I believed I was in control. My social group was small: Sarah, my coworker Mike, and a handful of friendly neighbors, nothing more. I never suspected anyone would go out of their way to track me, not until that terrifying ping. It was about 11:30 p.m. When I finished at work, I was tired, ready to get home and crash. As I walked to my car, I noticed it was parked under a lamp which cast long shadows across the pavement. I locked the doors, got in, started the engine, and pulled onto the quiet road. The car's stereo played softly. I glanced at my phone, nothing unusual. About 10 minutes into the drive, I felt a slight jolt of unease. My phone buzzed. I looked down, and there it was. Unknown AirTag found moving with you. My chest tightened. I couldn't believe it. I swiped open the alert. It told me to play a sound. I thought maybe it was a glitch. I froze. I played the sound, from the back seat. I swore I saw a small device under the passenger seat, or something glinting in the dim light. My mind raced. How long had it been there? Who put it there? Was I being followed? My fingers clenched the steering wheel. I slowed the car and turned into a quiet side road. I parked. The engine idled. I took a deep breath and flicked on the overhead light. I leaned down and saw a little white disc attached to the underside of the seat frame. My heart hammered. I yanked it off and held it up in the illuminated cabin. It was an AirTag. My voice shook when I whispered, "Who the hell is tracking me?" I snapped pictures of the device on my phone. My mind flooded with scenarios: ex-boyfriend, jealous co-worker, stranger. The fear rooted me in place. I sat there, door open, light shining, but fully aware how vulnerable I was. Alone, in the darkness, with no hero coming. I called Sarah. I told her what I found. She rushed over. While I waited, I sat with the tag in my hand, my eyes darting towards the windows, to every shadow outside, every passing car. I felt exposed in a way I never had. Sarah arrived quickly. She asked if I was okay. I showed her the tag. She stared, pale. "We need to call the police," she said. I hesitated. What if they thought I was overreacting? What if the tracker had been there by accident? But I knew this wasn't some harmless mick. "Sup," she agreed. We dialed the non-emergency line and explained what happened. They said someone would come out to take a report. While we waited, I kept the tag in a Ziploc bag, avoiding touching it. I felt like I was holding evidence of someone's invasion of my safety. The officer arrived about 20 minutes later. He put on gloves, took photos, collected the tag as evidence. "We'll check if this AirTag can be traced to a registered Apple ID, but that doesn't always give us the full story," he told me. I thanked him, but I couldn't shake the fear. That night I barely slept, watched the ceiling, listened to every creak. I kept expecting someone to break in, or worse. I felt invaded. The next morning, I canceled my route home and took a taxi instead. In the back of the car, I kept my phone on alert. I told myself until I confirmed I was safe, I wouldn't drive alone again. Over the following days, I told Mike and another friend, Ben, about what happened. Mike looked concerned. Ben shrugged. Maybe some kid just screwed around, he said, but Mike insisted we should check our other cars, look for hidden devices. We found nothing in Ben's car. In mine, we found nothing else. Still, the feeling stayed. The police contacted me, said they traced the tracker to an Apple ID that didn't directly link to a person. They think it might have been purchased second-hand online. But they said it had been used to monitor movements for a few days before I discovered it. That phrase, monitor movements for a few days, played on my mind. How many drives had I made with that tag in place? How many stops? How many nights? The escalation happened when I decided to install a motion-activated camera in my garage. That's when I started to notice oddities. The lights outside would flicker a few seconds after I walked into my house. The car parked slightly off its usual spot, as if someone had moved it. The gate slightly ajar. I came to the horrible realization that this had been going on longer than I thought. I'd been tracked, and I'd been too blind to see the signs, so that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have confronted the person you suspected? Would you have kept quiet and moved away? Or would you have gone full detective on them? I asked myself these exact questions. I weighed safety versus revenge. I weighed fear versus action. I decided I couldn't just wait for something worse to happen. I decided I had to turn this into my own version of taking back control. Here's what happened next. I spent a weekend researching the AirTag's capabilities, reading forums on how people misuse them. I documented everything. I noted dates and times when the tracker had pinged. I checked security camera footage to see if someone was tampering with my car. I changed all my locks and had someone check the underside of my car. When Monday came, I confronted Mike. He didn't like how late I was still working alone. He'd asked once if I minded him borrowing my car the day I parked it in a remote lot. I asked him, "Why did you ask about it?" His eyes flickered. He shifted in his chair. He said, "I just wanted to try it." "Try what?" I propped the AirTag I found on the table between us. This was under my seat. I said softly. I watched him go pale. He denied knowing anything about it. I told him I had evidence of the tag's pings and camera footage of someone moving around my car. His silence broke first. He admitted the tag was his. He said it had been just an experiment. I felt something like a wave of anger surge and then crash into resignation. An experiment, my safety treated like a lab test. I told him it was not my car, not my life, to treat as a joke. We argued. I used every ounce of composure I had. Ultimately, he apologized. He said he didn't realize how serious it was. I said I wasn't satisfied by words. I needed assurance. I reported him to the police. They reopened the case. They checked the registered purchase of the tag, and his ID came up in their cross-check. Charges were pending. I felt vindicated, yet uneasy that someone so close could violate me so deeply. But things didn't end there. The aftermath took its own course. Over the next few weeks, I changed my routine completely. I drove different routes, parked in busier areas, installed apps that alerted me if an unknown AirTag moved with me. I became hyper, vigilant. Some nights were restful, others I stared out the window until dawn. Mike stopped calling. Sarah sat with me on more drives, asked if I was okay. My relationship to my car, my independence, my sense of safety, all of it shifted. I realized that I had been carrying around fear inside me for longer than the tag had been in my car. And I wasn't the only one. Others online had posted stories of being stalked through AirTags. I felt connected to them, and also angry that the technology meant to help people could be twisted so easily. In time, I accepted that the mix of horror, betrayal, and relief all collided in me at once. I became someone changed. And in reflecting on all of this, I ask myself, what's the lesson? Maybe it's that safety isn't automatic. Maybe it's that trust has to be earned, even in the people closest to you. And maybe it's that one beep on your phone can change everything. If you were in my seat, you might have reacted differently, and that's okay, but this happened to me, and I survived it. I turned fear into action. I confronted what terrified me. So if you like hearing about how ordinary people face extraordinary threats, hit that like button. If you want more stories like this, people just like you, caught in unbelievable real life situations, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section. Would you have confronted your friend? Would you have handled it differently? I'll see you all in the next story.